afternoon. Thanks for having us on. I think the first and foremost capability that the SANDF would have is that of the airlifting capability. Go and fetch people, get them out of the areas when that is possible, of course, the weather allowing, because you can't fly under all circumstances. We understand that at the past 24 hours, the weather was so inclement that airlifting capability wasn't one of the options at that stage. Then furthermore, the Defence Force, of course, locally in each of those provinces that you named, they do have bases, they do have the ability to recover vehicles, especially help with the road clearing by taking those vehicles that are stranded off the roads or those that have hijacked the trucks and so on to take that off the road with heavy equipment that they do have. And then they also have, of course, the humanitarian capability whereby they can provide warm food to people who is in need of it. They can even provide accommodation in terms of tents and so on. And of course, very importantly, medical help is also available from the SANDF.
Pikkie, but what criteria is normally used to determine when it's actually safe for SANDF personnel to be deployed, especially to a site like this?
Well, I think first and foremost is, the safety of the personnel is a concern. If one knows that the transporting them somewhere is just going to get them stuck in the snow as well, well then, that deployment won't take place. If it's too dangerous to fly and the pilots think that the weather is not conducive to flying, then that won't take place. So the safety is of prime concern of the mission personnel in the first place.
You touched a bit on this a short while ago, but I want us to expand. What resources or even equipment does the SANDF use, especially in disaster response operations like this?
All right, so typically you'd have air support, whereby you have helicopters that have the capability to airlift quite a few passengers, and also to take, of course, very importantly, equipment and medical supplies and food to wherever it's needed. At the same time, the SANDF also has trucks that have a cooling capability to transport fresh food to where it needs to be. And as I mentioned, they've got heavy vehicle capabilities of towing large vehicles to where it's supposed to be, or at least get it out of the way. And I think also, of course, the manpower itself, boots on the ground. Soldiers are hard workers. They can do basically any physical task together with the other rescue workers.
Pikkie, it would seem that urgency is key, especially in situations like this. But for the SANDF, how does it prepare for deployments when weather conditions are still quite unpredictable?
It's very difficult. The SANDF is called upon to deploy at a moment's notice, of course, and on weather you have no control over. But I think the key in this lies in the fact that the SANDF tries to do as much training as possible while they're not in operations. And it's really that training that you're doing while not in operations, which is key to whether you will carry the next operation successfully.
So much of the attention has been some of the frustration expressed by motorists. Maybe let's give advice to them. Do you have advice for motorists who are considering traveling in these hazardous conditions? From what we've heard from KZN officials, they are saying if you don't have to travel to Durban, for instance, simply don't make the trip at this point.
From our side, from the union side, we are concerned about the safety of the public, of course, and we want to urge the public, especially South Africans are not necessarily familiar with snow and ice on the roads. It's extremely dangerous. You simply have no control over your vehicle. We would call on people to very seriously consider hunkering down where you are. Don't travel on those roads now. And if you travel, you are going to make it more difficult for the rescue efforts also.
Thank you so much for your time, Pikkie, Greeff, sharing his insights into the SANDF's response to these adverse weather conditions that are affecting our highways. We did hear from the KZN officials who said if you do not have to make the trip to Durban, do cancel those plans.